Hey, thanks for joining me today, everyone. So glad that you're here. We got a good one, October 18th, 2023. It's a Wednesday. That means it's a Big Idea Wednesday, and we got some ideas to talk about. My name's Tom Coffee. We're at Coffee Nuance, and remember, we're streaming live every day on Rumble, rumble.com/coffeenuance/live, and on YouTube, and some other platforms as well. But yeah, let us get to the main topic that we're talking about today, and that is the liar's dividend. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the place where fact meets fiction, where truth is not just a stranger, it's optional. Today, we're going to dive deep into the liar's dividend, the age-old dance of deception where honesty has left the building and only the boldest lies survive. Now, when it comes to political lies, America's got a PhD. I mean, we're the gold standard, the pioneer, the Picasso of political prevarication. We don't just tell fibs, we celebrate them. Case in point, Gulf of Tonkin incident, anyone? That's ancient history. How about weapons of mass destruction debacle, right? George W. Bush told us there were WMDs in Iraq. Turned out that was as real as a money transfer from a Nigerian prince. Well, let's not forget the classics. Watergate, Iran-Contra, every single time a president promised us a balanced budget. Russiagate, good people on both sides, Hunter's laptops. Oh, it goes on and on. Now, the liar's dividend is a sneaky thing. It's a bit like fast food, but it's a quick hit, right? Short-term gains, long-term pain. It's not just politicians, it's all over the place. Remember when the tobacco industry told us that smoking was perfectly safe? Yeah, they actually did that. The problem is when we allow these dividends to pay off, we're selling our future for quick thrill. So how do we fight against this liar's dividend? Fact-checking, skepticism, calling out the BS when we see it? We can demand honesty from our leaders and our media, but how's that working out? Well, in conclusion, folks, remember that while the liar's dividend might seem sweet at the moment, it leaves a bitter aftertaste that lingers because, as this totally made-up quote from Benjamin Franklin once said, honesty is the best policy, unless you're running for office. My name's Tom Coffee. This is a Coffee Nuance Show, the best censored commentary and news show live right now. Flame on. So this is it, the liar's dividend, right? So a dividend is, right, something good, something that you're given, right? In, if you own stocks, right, the dividend, they decide how much you should get paid based on the stock that you have. Dividends are good things, getting those dividends. I think dividend may have even been mentioned in the Monopoly game board, right? So this is you're gaining something for lying. And I see this way too much. I foolishly decided when I started this channel that I was going to try to be nuanced, right? That's what I named the show, Nuance. But when I look around at everybody that makes it, they're all rewarded for lying. No one is rewarded for being measured. No one is rewarded for being nuanced, right? I look at people that just sail past me in social media, and they're obviously just lying. They come out with hot takes originally, and they're not punished for this at all. So this is the liar's dividend, and perhaps it's something that I need to embrace myself if I want any success making videos. Just as a reminder, I'd appreciate it if you could smash the like button. Doesn't cost a thing. Lets me know you're real and not a bot. So thanks for that. But You know, with this fog of war that's happening right now in Israel and Gaza, right? You know, the big thing that came out yesterday was about the bombing of the hospital, right? And those people that immediately repeated what's probably a lie about the source of that bombing or that missile strike or that explosion or whatever you want to call it, they get lots of retweets, they get lots of likes, and there's really no consequence for it at all. Lying pays. That's the liar's dividend. And I don't really even have a good idea on what to do about it. I don't know. I guess if you can handle being a liar, you can be more successful. But I just wanted to bring up this term, liar's dividend, as a way to understand one of the incentives for lying. One of the incentives is you're rewarded. Okay? So that is a term that you can try to use when you hear someone doing this, when you're talking about it. Now you have a little vocabulary to explain why it is, what's the motivation of people to lie. And one of them is that they're rewarded. So that's the idea today. That's the big idea. I do have a couple of stories to get to today, not that many. So let's get to it real quick. And remember, stick around for the after show. I'll be going through all of your comments on YouTube and on Rumble. On Rumble, if any of the people over there right now want to leave a comment, I'll go through your comments as well. But first up, we got to talk about a message that many of you have been seeing very recently. Oh yeah. Oops, that's not it. There we go. You know, folks, YouTube is cracking down on ad blockers, telling people to disable them if you want to watch videos. Like that annoying friend that insists you listen to their playlist in the car. No. You can't skip the ads. I mean songs. That's part of the experience. So YouTube's solution is simple. Pay up for YouTube Premium, and they promise you'll be ad-free. Or you can always watch the videos elsewhere. Just saying. Anyway, here's the story. YouTube's cracking down on ad blockers, prompting users to disable them to watch their videos. If you don't, they'll suggest subscribing to YouTube Premium for an ad-free experience. This move isn't surprising since YouTube's business model relies on advertising. Continuing to use ad blockers may result in playback restrictions. To avoid ads, you could disable ad blockers, subscribe to YouTube Premium, or you might try to bypass the ban with some effort. AdBlock Plus recommends keeping filter lists updated and allowing YouTube on an allow list. Yeah, so I was hit with this. I go to watch some videos and I get a pop-up message that says YouTube ad blockers are not allowed. Now, I would, just a little I'm not telling anyone what to do. Okay? I'm not telling anyone what to do. But I don't think people would have a problem with ads if they weren't so intrusive. Okay? Not just in YouTube, but on all websites. You go to a website, you have your ad blocker on, they ask you to turn off your ad blocker, you turn off your ad blocker on that site, and then you get all these pop-ups and you get ads that are covering up what you're trying to read. Well, that doesn't work. If you want people to have the ads, you have to make them at a level that's acceptable. And right now, the ads are just so much that I think it's a big turnoff for a lot of people. In fact, it's a big turnoff for people on YouTube. if you have ads all over the screen, unskippable ads, it's just a pain in the butt. And doing so will incentivize people to maybe move to a different platform. Yeah, there are other platforms to watch videos that you may consider if that's what you're looking for. For example, you can go to Rumble. My videos are also posted on BitChute, not live. BitChute doesn't have live streaming that I'm aware of, but it does go up pretty quickly over there on BitChute as well. But it's the same thing. I can't watch live TV anymore because there's too many commercials. There's too many commercials. I just can't do it. Right? And the commercials are so bad. Like, they just enrage me. So, yeah, I don't watch live TV for the most part. Do you? Can you watch live TV other than sports? Is there any live thing that you can watch? I mean, maybe presidential debate, right? But there's no ads for that. So anyway, I think that this is probably going to backfire on YouTube, but that's just my take. Let me know your take in the comments. And next up, I have an update for you on a story that we've covered on this channel before. Ghost guns. You know, folks, the Supreme Court just ruled on ghost guns. You know what that means? I guess even ghosts can't have an easy way to arm themselves. I need a little drum so that I can do the ba-dum-bump symbol for these bad dad jokes. But here's the story. The U.S. Supreme Court has upheld the federal government's ban on ghost guns, which are unassembled firearms that can be purchased online and assembled into working guns. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and Explosives. Did they just add that in there? Tobacco, firearms, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives? Is that a new name? Okay. Anyway, they issued a regulation requiring these gun parts to have serial numbers and mandating background checks for buyers similar to in-person gun purchases. The regulations were challenged in court, leading to a nationwide injunction by a federal judge. However, the Supreme Court has now overturned the lower court ruling, allowing the ATF regulations to take effect while further legal proceedings occur. And there were no dissents in this decision whatsoever. So we've talked about ghost guns before, and I don't know. You know, it makes you wonder. This is a real tricky subject. I seem to recall "shall not be infringed" somewhere. I can't recall where I saw that. But you know, I live here in Oregon, and all of this has been banned in the state of Oregon already. We've got some pretty tough regulations on all things gun related. So our state has put a ban on it already. So, you know, I guess if you're an honest person wanting to have one to defend yourself, you're out of luck. And if you're a bad guy, well, I don't think regulations really stop criminals, do they? Probably not. But again, this is just more of the same. More of the same in this case, but I just wanted to bring you that update. Anyway, lastly, and man, this is a quick show today. Time for some good news. Already, some good news. So, United Airlines is changing its boarding process to put window seat passengers first. So United has finally figured out something that we've all known forever. The window seat is the first class of economy class. So here's the story. United Airlines is introducing a new boarding process that will prioritize window seat passengers in economy class starting October 26th. Passengers will be assigned to 7 boarding groups, with window passengers boarding first, followed by exit row and non-revenue passengers. So that's what I always get, right? You buy with miles, you're the last one on the plane. That's how it works. And then middle and aisle seats. Okay, so the last group is reserved for basic economy passengers. The airline expects this change to save up to 2 minutes of boarding time, which could reduce delays and potentially allow more flights. The change comes as airlines adapt to shifts in travel trends following, the pandemic and all that stuff. The economy. With a focus on improving boarding experience for passengers. So this is frankly good news. I never understood the boarding process. It never made sense to me. I've seen, there have been YouTube videos forever about like, hey, here's a better way to board planes. It's going to be faster. Why don't we do this? You let the people in with the window seats. You let them go in first. They put their stuff up, sit down at the window, and now the next people can come in a little faster. Also, I found it odd. It's just kind of dumb that, obviously the back of the plane should board first. It's just crazy how they don't care about efficiency, but eventually they got around to it. It's 2023, and they figured out that it makes sense to have the window seat go in first. So it's about time, but I do think that this is good news. Now, if only we could do something about getting off the plane, right? I'm one of those people that hops out in the aisle and I block everyone. Like, no, you're not getting by. But yeah, it makes sense. And finally, the airline is doing something that makes sense. I guess some drawbacks could be if you're with someone and then you're with your wife or whatever, and she's in the window, and you have, let's say, the aisle seat, or maybe the middle seat. So she has to go first and put her luggage up, or I don't know. I guess there can be some drawbacks. There's always pros and cons on everything, but I'm all for trying to make things better, and you try it, and maybe this doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, let's try something else. And if that other thing doesn't work, let's try it out and try something else. We should always be A/B testing things like this to come up with the best strategy to help the most people. That's what we should be doing. We should be doing with all things, including like ad blockers, right? What would be the best thing? Well, let's try different things until we figure out what's best. That's what smart people would do. And when you look at institutions that aren't doing that, well, they're not being very smart, are they? So I don't know. What do you think about this? What do you think about window people getting on first? I think it's a benefit. Move in the right direction. So let me know what you think. I'll be checking out everyone in the comments. Anyway, quick show today. That's all I have. Stick around for the after show. As a reminder, I'll be back on Friday with a fact check Friday. So I hope to see you then. Until then, peace. So here we are. In the after show. Oh, Rumble. Rumble. You know, it's funny. Rumble does not do well live, but after I'm live, that's when people watch Rumble. Weird how that is. Anyway, if you're on Rumble, you can watch live. And you can have an ad block, I think. Anyway, what's happening, everybody? Lucid checking in. Natasha, what's up, everyone? Yeah, we've got the best fibbers in the world. We got the best liars in the world. And I like fib. You know, fibbing doesn't sound nearly as bad as a lie, right? I didn't lie. I fibbed. Oh, yeah. Liars' dividends involve reframing. Yeah. And I know all the people in the comments are definitely not bots. Lucid says, I had YouTube Premium. When the price went up, I canceled it. No commercials was nice. Yeah. You know, they should have some different tiers for the YouTube Premium. That's what I would hope. But again, I'm not in charge of the world. And YouTube is not asking my advice. Some videos have so many interruptions for ads. If you fast forward to near the end of the video, watch the last minute, then hit repeat, you can have an ad-free experience. Oh, that's an interesting hack. I had not known about that. So you might have to try that. I hate when a live chat wastes my time greeting everyone at the beginning. I'm glad you wait until the end, Tom. Well, you know what? I should probably do, I mean, that's probably best practices, right? That probably gets more interaction. But again, I you know, I try to do things the way that I would want them to be done. So I try to do the show as if I were watching the show. That's kind of how I look out for things. Elin Duril. Again, I'm going to have to learn a pronunciation on that. And I watch YouTube on the phone through the Brave browser app. No ads. I am a big fan of the Brave browser. So y'all can check that out. I think that's a fun thing to be familiar with. Lucid says, I have lots of pew-pews. And I'm sure we all know what that means. Says, I always try to get the window seat. Now, typically, I try to get the aisle. For me, the aisle is a little bit better. The window can be really tough, especially if it's a long flight, because I'm a bit bigger, and it's really hard to get out and climb over people, to get out and go for a walk or use the restroom, stretch your legs. That's really tough, climbing over people. Of course, if you're in the aisle, you know, constantly I have to, you know, sit like this too, so I don't get bumped by the drink cart. But that's part of the experience, I guess, right? Live chat instead of top chat reminder. Okay, there we go. I've heard they occasionally board by aisle, starting from the back, only when they're really short on time. Yeah, there have been a lot of different things. It is funny. I think about flights that I've done, and they have, you know, they get you to line up in different places and line up in this line, line up in this line. And I'm not a dumb guy, right? I consider myself, you know, not dumb. And a lot of times it's confusing to me as to which group I'm in. It's not always clear, and they don't always label things to make things clear. And what I think is, if it's not easy for me, how can it be easy for anyone? It's got to be difficult for anyone. Because often I found myself, in the wrong line or asking people, wait, is this which line am I supposed to be in? Well, again, as a reminder, if you're flying on points, you're probably the last one on the plane. Right? That's just kind of how it works. Yeah, the hack does work. You can do it for movies too. I don't need to because I have premium, but I would to that otherwise. Okay, you get abused in the aisle seats. Yeah, the aisle's tough. The aisle is tough. It would be nice if you could look up when you're buying tickets, you know, how big the people are next to you. You know, you can just put in, you know, large, extra small, medium, you know, like what size you are, and then that way they could group people accordingly. Because sometimes you get next to someone really big, and man, it's tough. I'm just like I'm hanging out in the aisle because the person next to me is you know, falling over into my seat. You know, that does happen. Always the window, even in buses. I'm like a dog looking outside the whole ride. I understand that. Natasha prefers the window too. I love that they try to get the seat where they don't have the screaming baby in the big lady in the middle. That's great. Okay, yeah. We all have our preferences on planes, and I'm just glad they're trying something, right? They should, I know I said this, and I'm repeating myself, but I just wish all things would just try out different things just to see what works. You know, I should be doing that more with my show, just trying out different things to see what works better, what doesn't work better, because if you're not doing that, you're stale, it's not working out. Right. So we should all be experimenting. That's my challenge to you. Experiment with different alternatives to find out if you are really doing things the right way. Or maybe there's a way that's more efficient or more beneficial. You can do it too. We don't need to just limit this to United Airlines. We should all be trying out different things to see what works best. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I'll be back on Friday with a fact check. Hope to see you then. Peace.